Have you seen this? Everybody likes movies. That's why they call them movies.
Oh, see, mine was similar.
Well, you can
All
do
right.
it, because, like, mine's not very funny.
All right. Well, it's basically the same thing. Have you seen this? It's a movie about a heist. That's why it's called Heist.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes. It really is what it says on the tin, isn't it?
Yeah. Should we cut directly to what that is a reference to? Because that is about the only memorable part of this movie.
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.
That and like the last shot, because it kind of gives the thing away. But why don't you explain it? Or do we have to explain who David Mamet is? Because
For what? For the children?
yeah. Well, let's see. Because, if I was going to make a list of beloved auteurs from my college years, I would say Neil Gaiman, Joss Whedon, Graham Linehan, and David
Harvey
Mamet.
Weinstein,
Yeah,
for
Harvey
some
Weinstein.
reason.
Yeah, because he produced all those great Quentin Tarantino movies. And here at the next addition to our list of now problematic creative idols, we have David Mamet.
Yes, the French playwright, I believe.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know that Tim's
From-
tuition to school was paid by Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. That got a little awkward. But I got a lot of flights on a jet for free, so.
Sorry about your Uncle Jeff, Tim.
Wait, are we joking?
Enough about angry young Tim.
Right, yeah. No, it's we'll talk about it. Yeah, because he's the author of what, Sexual Perversity and what, Leon? That's him? No? Oh, he's from Chicago, and he turned out to be a reactionary dickhead.
Like, I'm glad the same thing didn't happen to Michael Mann. Did it?
Not that let's just leave that as a big question mark. Let's leave best leave that
fine.
one unsolved.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame because he wrote a lot of idiosyncratic, iconic dialogue of people speaking
Glengarry Glen Ross.
obliquely.
Everybody's seen that.
Glengarry Glen Ross. Everyone's seen that. Everyone's seen that movie, Glengarry Glen Ross. You can watch it on your lunch break.
Would you go to lunch?
Will you go to lunch?
Will you go to lunch?
Go to lunch.
Go to lunch.
Will you?
Yeah. See, it's a great bit. Like, you can see why people love his rapid-fire masculine dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It certainly doesn't lapse into self-parody at any point.
Right. Yeah. Because the thing about this is that, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of this movie does have kind of perfunctory dialogue, and when Mamet's doing his Mamet thing, because he does give a lot of his Mamet-isms to Ricky Jay, rest in peace. Rebecca Pidgeon, God help us.
The boss's wife.
Yeah, Rebecca Pidgeon is in this because she's fucking the writer-director. Good for her.
Mm-hmm. She's not very good.
That's what everyone says. Yeah,
I haven't seen much of her work, but she's not that great in this. But
no, because the difficulties of reciting Mamet dialogue are really on display when she is reciting it.
Yeah,
but
she's no Lindsay Krause.
Right. No.
The first Mrs. Mamet.
Yeah. No, she isn't. She is no Lindsay. No, she's not.
But, she's cute as a Chinese baby.
She sure is. Whatever the hell that means.
I will say this. At the cute as a Chinese baby line comes near the end of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And after writing down a hell of a lot of really, kind of dumb David Mamet lines of dialogue, when I got to cute as a Chinese baby, I was like, you know what? I'll give him that. They are very, very cute.
Is that an allusion to something? Is that supposed to mean something?
I don't know.
Hey, Jen, how long were you writing these witticisms down? How long is a Chinaman's name?
Was he thinking of like Thai people or Indonesian people? Because I don't feel like Chinese names are that long. Am I crazy?
How long is a Chinaman's name?
Oh.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, no, like I'll admit it.
Okay.
It got right past me.
All right.
I literally didn't know. And the thing is like, okay, like.
I don't remember anything else from that scene. That's the unfortunate thing, is that, like you say, sometimes this dialogue can drift into self-parody. It's sort of dialogue for dialogue's sake. It isn't illuminating the scene. It's just trying to sound cool. But if you pile too much of that on, it just gets absurd.
It's no, I've got more chins than Chinatown.
Right, yeah. I mean, that was a real witticism.
Who's fat?
Oh, another problematic artist from my college days. Got to cross him off the list now.
Well, the day I see Weird Al Yankovic on Jesse Waters, I'll know it's like culturally America is just done.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk about that another time, because unfortunately we have to keep talking about Heist, which is a movie about a heist. And that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, it's like I said, what it says on the tin. Funny bit of trivia: this movie made its premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival on, get ready for it, September 10th, 2001.
Huh. Oh, yeah. I get it why it wasn't more popular. It's because all the air was sucked out of the room by the release of They Might Be Giants album, Mink Car. And everyone was listening to that, and no one was going to the movies.
I mean, understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I pre-ordered that Monday night on Amazon, and then I went to bed.
Oh, God. Jeez. Fuck.
Would you rather talk about Heist now?
Heist.
Yes.
This is
David Mamet trying to do his best Raymond Chandler.
Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. I was going to say that this is very mid-tier Mamet.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put it in the same category as stuff like Spanish Prisoner or House of Games. No.
Yeah, I mean, Spanish Prisoner and House of Games are two great references to come up with immediately. I mean, I know in our previous episode where we talked about Casino Royale, it took us a while to come around to movies that you should watch instead of this one, but we're just going to mention those off the bat. Because if you've seen either of them, you're like, when does this become like either of those? And no, this is really workmanlike. And the crux of that is probably best exemplified by Ricky Jay. Now, let's just, as an aside, love Ricky Jay. He's awesome. Yeah. It's great seeing him in Boogie Nights. You can find the, Betamax copy of him doing his sleight of hand special on the Internet Archive. He's part of what I liked about Mystery Men. He's kind of just being himself in all these roles. So I don't know, he's first and foremost a stage magician. Mm-hmm. But also a regular actor who works with a lot of great directors and writers like David Mamet, except in this case. Worked with Mamet previously in House of Games. He's great in that. But the problem is that a lot of the kind of tricks that Mamet is using here are just better done in House of Games.
Yeah, because this movie, I think, and I can't take credit for this, I saw this in one of the reviews from the time. Mm-hmm. It was something like, this movie is basically just like a series of rug pulls. Yeah,
and if you just kind of stack those one after another, they just sort of start to lose meaning.
Right, and I'll give it this. It's like entertaining enough because you're curious to see where the story will go, and also that everybody is going to fuck everybody else over.
Right.
No, well, not so. I mean, there are loyalties and stuff, but they're all like
people
shifting.
will be double-crossed and
loyalties.
triple-crossed and whatever.
Yeah, looking at you, single woman in the cast.
Ah, see? I told you not to trust women, Jen, and then you went and became one.
And I'm not really being fair. There is a second woman in the cast, Patti LuPone, which is weird. When she showed up, I was like, "What's fucking Patti LuPone?"
Yeah, that is weird.
Speaking of people who got canceled recently,
Well, you're gonna get that.
but she apologized, so I guess we're all good. But yeah, like you're watching this and you're waiting to see like who's gonna flip and why, who is going to
who was
like, the
lying this whole
wiliest-
time? Yeah,
right. The woman, of course.
right. That's what they're best at. You know that, Jen.
Of course. I mean, I lie every day.
No, I don't. Huh?
Look, I came here for an argument.
I didn't. All right, so, but yeah, it does kind of trade in a lot of cliches, but doesn't really make any hay out of them, because part of, I think, what makes a heist movie interesting is what's at stake. If you want to watch a better heist movie, you can watch the equally generically titled Thief. You find out what's at stake there.
But you know what I would give to Thief over this movie?
What?
Is that, now, this movie, when it came out, again, very mid in terms of Mamet offerings, but, you know, reviews were like mixed to generally positive. But one of the positives that people mentioned about it was like, oh, well, it's really about the characters. And I was like, is it? Because these characters are not that interesting.
Oh, okay.
Like, Thief, you have James Caan playing, you know, a quintessential Michael Mann character, like just a man who is just single-minded in the pursuit of his thing. And it's a fascinating portrait of like that type of guy, capital G. And
Okay.
that's a guy. In this movie, these characters are tropes. You know, like
Okay,
Gene
yeah, it's even worse.
Hackman. Gene Hackman is like he's the grizzled veteran, but like, is he losing it a little bit? Like, he's been around a while, and you know.
Yeah, and it's like he slipped up and now he's out. But no, he has to go in for one more job. Always with the one more job.
Yeah, and like Ricky Jay is like the stalwart, like
Yeah, he's sort of the teller to Hackman's pen.
Well, yeah, he's like the loyal guy who will do whatever you need done.
Yeah.
Delroy Lindo, black best friend.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know. I was like, oh, I really like Delroy Lindo too. It was nice seeing him in Sinners. That was cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Rebecca Pagan, of course, is woman.
Doing woman stuff, lying to people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, being sexy, lying, being duplicitous,
Yep.
thinking
too much.
Yeah, thinking only of her own needs and goals.
Yep.
Woman stuff.
Yeah,
and,
wearing acid wash cutoffs.
And Sam Rockwell is a shitty mustache guy.
So pretty much as Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, he's good. Not a lot to do, but like Sam Rockwell's always delightful. So
Well, yeah, because Sam Rockwell is great at playing kind of a shitty guy, but like a shitty guy who, like, I don't know, isn't good at being a shitty guy. It's hard to explain.
yeah, kind of guys who think they're a lot better than
Yeah.
they really are.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because he does kind of come in like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be on this job, and like, I'm going to be king shit fuck mountain, and then Hackman just like constantly alphas him.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're not. You are not. You're
Right.
doing this. Yeah, he's mostly perfunctory to this story, which is unfortunate, as
Yeah,
he's the only
I
other quote unquote young character. It is distracting. I mean, I know that. Look, I'm just gonna say Rebecca Pigeon is on this movie because of David Mamet, but she is also 35 years younger than Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I actually
Now-
looked up their birth dates. And
Yeah.
he
Gene
was born in
Hackman-
1930.
Yeah, Gene Hackman is like 15 years older than most of the cast, which is already distracting. But still, it's like we have your olds, and then we have people who are 2 or 3 decades younger than them.
Right.
And just that it isn't commented on is really unusual. But
yeah, and
Dave wanted to put Becky in this movie, so.
And okay, like, I could go either way, and I can't believe I'm saying this because it does get tiresome to see like very young, sexy women constantly paired with like much older men. Not like it doesn't happen in real life, and that's the thing. Is like it's fucking Gene Hackman, the guy had game. Like I could see him being with like a foxy young lady, but it's like on the other hand, it's like come on, like this. It's always like this shit.
Right.
Like,
yeah. That's kind of the thing about like the movie just trades too heavily in tropes where it kind of reaches its breaking point and the characters aren't grounded enough to make you see past just sort of the cardboard cutout character that they are.
Right. And not to take anything away from Hackman, because as you know, this is a pro Hackman podcast.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. Although we can talk shit about him now. Although,
what's he gonna do?
Actually, I'm still afraid of him, so never mind.
And while I was watching this, I did think of like your description of Hackman, where it's always like,
yeah,
kind of like avuncular yet
hostile,
menacing.
Yeah,
like, which is why he always played these
kind of dirty
kinds
characters.
Like really morally gray.
Yeah.
Guys who could get scary on a dime.
Right, yeah. I mean, again, citing better movies, you could watch The Conversation, you could watch Night Moves. Those are both morally, ambiguous characters doing sort of secretive work that Hackman is perfectly cast for.
And in Night Moves, Hackman sleeps with a woman who's much closer to his age, so...
Oh, okay. That also has an underage actress in it, though, right?
Well, to be scrupulously fair to Night Moves, he does not fuck Melanie Griffith's character, thank God.
Yeah. He just fucks some horrible old 30-something hag.
Yeah, what was that broad, like 31, 32? Disgusting.
Just all used up, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
I could never.
Right, no.
Be 31 or 32 again.
If only. Yeah, so the actress that we have in it, the unfortunate thing is that, I was saying earlier about this, being kind of Mamet trying to be like a Raymond Chandler thing.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that, like you say, he's got Rebecca Pigeon in there, but she's no Veronica Lake.
Oh, God, no. She doesn't even have the hair, am I right?
Yeah, you could... She couldn't even be cut to look like Veronica Lake.
She's got short hair. She might as well be a fucking boy, am I right?
That's the thing. That's what's so hot about it, though.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, but you know what else it is about like that type of noir, your Raymond Chandler's et al. Is that take something like The Big Sleep, and that's a movie that's chock full of characters that put you a little bit on edge. Like, what is this person's whole deal?
It's a character that is developed in some way.
Right, and there's a kind of strangeness to a lot of the characters.
That's why
they stories that makes them memorable.
Yeah, like it isn't just like speaking in like oblique like Chinese riddles or something. You don't sound like a fortune cookie like the way Ricky Jay does, unfortunately, a lot of the time. Yeah,
like in The Big Sleep when Marlowe first shows up to the house and there's that chick who's like really in him, but like she's really young and it's like,
it's Melanie Griffith.
And you're like, is there like there's something wrong with her? Like what it like?
Yeah, she's way too forward for someone that young.
Yeah, and it puts you on edge like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in for some noir ass shit. And this isn't a noir film. It's more like a straight ahead heist film, but
it is a lot like a heist film.
It would have been nice to have that little bit of extra character frisson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of just like, oh, Gene Hackman is the old hand, and Delroy Lindo is his friend, who's very capable. Sam Rockwell is kind of a young guy piece of shit.
Well, that's probably more instructive of the, I guess, like the idea behind this movie. Because, yeah, Sam Rockwell is the young piece of shit, and Gene Hackman is the old hand. He owns a boat that he, fixes up, and he like has a workshop, and he can do like basic sort of like shop stuff, things you might have learned in high school in like the 50s or so.
Or perhaps if you were in the Marines and then had to get a job immediately after you got out of the service to support your young family.
Right, yeah. So what I'm getting at is Heist is a dad movie.
It is such a dad movie.
Yeah, it is the
My
old
dad
guys...
would have complained about this, but it is a dad movie.
Yeah, it is the old guys who have still got it, outsmarting the young guys who are there to replace them. I mean, it's working for yourself, and you got your group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Elderly dudes rock. Like, that's what this movie is.
You're 100% right, and
I usually
relating
am.
to that, really quickly, again, going back to kind of like the gender politics of this movie, maybe Mamet in general. The way the movie started out is we're introduced to Hackman's character and his wife, Fran, who's like a much younger...
Old enough
piece
to
of
be his
ass.
daughter.
Right. I was like, okay, whatever. They wanted Hackman in the movie. Mamet wanted to cast his wife. Fucking fine. Who cares? But the way that it's almost made explicit in this movie of woman as ultimately as object.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because for Hackman, it's all about like, having, you got like the payoff from the last gig you did. You got your boat, and then you got your girl. And there's a line where he says to her literally like, "You're the brass ring, baby."
Okay.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
he's of retirement age. He's ready to retire. He bought a boat. He's gonna sail with his wife down somewhere else. Down to a warmer clime. It's absolutely like the retiree's dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, the one thing that you can rely on that's more reliable than a woman is hard currency.
Yeah, you want that pension because you think that those things still exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Things were so much simpler on September 10th, 2001.
I know. Just couldn't wait to listen to that They Might Be Giants album.
I'm sorry. Fuck.
No, yeah, it's a terrible thing.
Back to the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it is the old guys just kind of getting one last kick in. Mm-hmm. Maybe not all of them. Sometimes your friends die. But the other thing too about this is that, yeah, the characters are really perfunctory. And I think that the work that went into this movie was probably more exciting for the creative team than the result is for the audience. Because planning a heist, I bet, is a ton of fun because it's problem solving. You're trying to come up with, okay, what is the target? What is the scene? Who are the people that we have to compromise in order to make this happen? Then you kind of work backwards from there. Yeah, but to then watch it play out is not as exciting as probably it was to plan.
No, I think you're kind of onto something there, and I won't really ding Mamet as a director in terms of having like a little bit of visual flair and like a moving camera when it's appropriate, and there's some fun shots in this, and even a use of a canted frame or two that I found like I was like, oh, very nice. I don't know that he's an actor's director.
No, I'm pretty sure that he's like I'm David Mamet. You know what my dialogue is like. You just have to do the thing, and people are going to know that I'm the one who wrote this because I'm David fucking Mamet.
Right.
So, yeah, you can say things like,
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.
you can say, if the whole thing is about your wife, you know what, to hell with it. You can say that, you know?
You can repeatedly call someone a fucking lame, like you're running the Foos Gone Wild account on Instagram.
You can say, your boy has terrible manners. Which of us is perfect? So be it.
At one point, Danny DeVito refers to Rebecca Pidgeon's character as a doxy, which is like, okay, David Mamet is 7,000 years old, I guess.
Yeah, so, maybe not an actor's director, but, man, they had a bunch of fun planning this movie about a heist, and, again, that's where I come back to Ricky Jay, you know, notable, card sharp, master of sleight of hand, stage magician, worked on House of Games, he has this whole other thing going on, and I'm sure that David had a lot of fun working with Jay, trying to work out, like, how would this work? How would you do that? You know, what's a fun twist here? Not that he got any writing credit for it, but I mean, it seems like that is kind of the heart and soul of this movie, is planning, like, well, how do you deceive someone? Maybe like in the plot of House of Games. Look, that's neither here nor there. Because House of Games...
just watch House of Games, all right?
House of Games is great because it is showing like so many different cons. It is, the just like kind of a reverse, the people that you trust are the people who are scamming you. It's like a short con. It's just doing like, quick little things. It's pulling a long con. It's showing like how you can earn someone's trust, because as Joe Mantegna says in it, the way that a confidence trick works is I'm giving you my confidence. Like, I am believing in who I am. Like, I'm not saying that you're confident that you're going to see through this. I'm saying I'm so confident in the lie that I'm telling you that you then believe it. That's the con.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck point was I making? So, yeah, the movie thematically is consistent on a big and small scale. This is, I planned a fun adventure with my friends, and you're going to watch us do it. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's fair, I think. And it's certainly watchable. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, you're kind of waiting to see who's going to flip on who. Like, how are they going to actually pull this heist off? Like, how do you rob a plane on a runway? That's fun. I like airplanes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's pretty much a dad movie, because not only is it about like the old guys still, having their mojo. Look at how Gene Hackman kind of throws his weight around in scenes where they're conning other people. He shows up as an old authoritative guy that's like, hey, I'm your boss and you're going to get fired for drinking on the job. Hey, I'm a contractor who's coming in. Mind if I just leave my tools here? He's just like this old hand. Hey, I'm the guy who the Swiss gold belongs to, and I got to get this out, tomorrow morning, yada, yada, yada. And everyone's like, oh, well, you're old, so you're clearly in charge. So definitely like a retiree age, dad fantasy kind of movie.
Yeah, like, this was back when a white man was respected.
When the old man was respected.
An old white man.
Yes. I want to talk more about consummate character actor Ricky Jay.
Please.
Yes.
We all love Ricky Jay.
I know,
cool.
And how unfair it is of the movie to have him like get hit by a car to lose a tail. I mean, like, that man is not in the like greatest of shape. I mean,
Do you think he did his own stunt?
Absolutely not. But I mean, just seeing that, just like, oof.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's a big bump to take.
Right.
For a man well north of 30.
Yeah, exactly.
And, because it's Ricky Jay, and the character, because, like you said, he always plays Ricky Jay. And it's like, he's going to do some tricksy shit, like he knows what he's doing. But you're like, yeah, how do you take that bump? Like, there are ways to do that, but...
Yeah, and was he prepared for that? I don't know.
Yeah, because, he had to act in that moment of like, oh, we need a distraction. Fucking now.
Yeah, you've been hit by a car
Here
before,
comes a car.
right? Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I am 55. Like, I'm not willingly stepping into traffic for any reason.
Wow. But, that's what he's willing to do for Gene Hackman's character.
Yeah, because
this was when an old white guy was commanded respect.
He's his little buddy who's like, kind of weird. He's got his own thing going on, but he's better at stuff than you are most of the time. It's just, you're still the alpha.
Yeah.
Because Ricky J.
It's kind of like how in Sneakers, like you have this like gang of characters that rotate around the hub of Robert Redford's character.
Yeah, he's the one with the highest social. He's the captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I love Sneakers so fucking much.
I
I
know.
should watch that again.
It's a shame we aren't going to talk about it now.
It was too successful, Tim. It made money and everybody liked it.
Yeah.
It's not for our show.
But yeah, so Ricky J being himself, there's a scene where, because like you said, you're just waiting for like the double crosses and, the lies and stuff to pile up, but none of them have any kind of gravity. Like, in fact, when, they're planning the Swiss job, and of course, Gene Hackman's like, I don't want to do it. I've been made. They got my face on camera. I'm just going to retire because people know that I'm a thief. But, Danny DeVito presses him into it because he's like, we already bought all the stuff. Like, he's financially committed at this point, which is a great plot hook that I may use in my Traveler game. And he's like, I kept half of your loot from this last job because I want to make sure that you do this other job, even though he's like, well, I can't. God, I lost my fucking train of thought. I forget why I even brought this up.
Well, actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Because this kind of movie is challenging for young Jen here, because young Jen is kind of stupid.
You have to pay attention, yeah.
Well, it's a twisty plot,
Right.
and also people speak somewhat obliquely, like in their own language, which is the Mamet language.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what the fuck do you mean? Like, I was so confused by Rebecca Pidgeon yelling angrily on the phone in the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Jen.
okay, she's putting on a performance for someone, but I don't understand the point.
Right. And, I mean, perhaps a case can be made, because that was the line that I said earlier. Like, I truncated it, but, if it's about your wife, it's about your wife. Why don't you, if the whole thing is about your wife, you know what? To hell with it. It sounds phony and rehearsed, so maybe you can say that it is canny, because it is Mamet writing his most Mamety dialogue to say, Rebecca Pidgeon isn't talking here, she's acting. And it's her character who's
Right.
like, she's making a whole show of it. I mean, I would convince myself, I would con myself into believing that. But
wow, I can't believe you would allow yourself to be fooled by a mere woman.
And, I am normally invincible against cons and propaganda. You know how I am.
I thought you were going to say holes.
That too.
It's like, no, Jen, that's you, because
No.
it's your word.
Yeah, I know. I'm the one person who can't be fooled by propaganda. And I will be happy to tell you that.
So fuck off, Garfield.
Yeah. But yeah, there are other scenes like that where, if you can recognize that, like the scene that I was getting at about, if you've seen Ricky J in House of Games, then in the scene where, Gene Hackman doesn't want to do the job, he's kind of pressed into it, but they find a clever way to get out of it, which is Ricky J's character. He fucks up. He pulls a Stax and Goodfellas, where he drops off the car briefly to go do something else, and then the cops find it. And it has like his clipboard and it has all his notes in there, and the job's busted. But if you've seen him in any other David Mamet movie, you're like, Ricky J is a fucking liar. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, like nah, he knows what he's doing. He's gonna pull something out.
Yeah, they're doing this whole work to be like, I can't believe. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost the clipboard. The cops got the car. Like, oh, I cannot believe you. Damn it, Ricky J's character. How could you do such a thing?
It sounds like Neil Breen.
Right. Yeah.
How could you kill yourself? How could you do this?
How could you?
How could you commit suicide?
How could you do this? How can you do this?
How can you do this?
Right.
Cast a completely different actor in your movie.
You know,
from scene to scene.
yeah. Tommy Wiseau is often compared to the writing of David Mamet. But
I mean, they both do have a certain style. I'll give them that.
that's true. Neither of their dialogue sounds naturalistic. There. The problem is that, like a card trick, once you've known that like Ricky Jay's character is there to lie to your face, when he does it again, you're like, well, hang on, something's up. And sure enough, something is up. I'm glad that the movie respects its audience enough to like not continue that charade for very much longer. Like it's resolved in the scene to be like,
right.
Yeah, we tricked him, and then now the job's off. We don't have to do a thing. We can just get on with our lives.
Right.
But more Ricky Jay stuff, because really I don't want to talk about any part of this movie other than Ricky Jay.
This is the Ricky Jay show.
Right, yeah. Had I been able to say this to him. Did I tell the story about when I saw his show?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know you had seen his show.
No, yeah. It was delightful. And
bet.
I think that the statute of limitations has expired on this, because it was me and two of my friends. We were waiting outside, the Geffen and the Geffen Theater in Cursed Westwood. And
yes.
Yeah, there were three of us. This is important to the story. And a guy had 2 extra tickets. And, we split the cost 3 ways. But we did have the dilemma of how do the 3 of us get into the movie or get into the show. So, 2 of my friends went in and, they got their 2 tickets stamped. One of my friends left and came and got me, and we showed them the 2 tickets. And then we split 2 chairs amongst the 3 of us. And that's how we cheated Ricky Jay out of a ticket.
I think he would appreciate the hustle.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no one was
looking. You were college students. You don't got a lot of money.
No, we sure as fuck didn't. So
was this the core friend group here?
No. This was some Mike and Ben people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
well, I'm gonna retcon it that it was you, Paul, and Sean.
If only. Yeah, but
still nice work.
Yeah, I figure it was appropriate for the show to be like, they really aren't paying that close attention. If you show a ticket, you get into the show. Said and done. I don't know, it's some college kid. They all kind of look the same.
That is wonderful. How was the show?
Well, it was delightful, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, he threw the card at the watermelon. He mentioned obscure, stage magicians that when he's telling the story, you're like, I have no idea whether this is true. I have no idea at what point he stopped lying to me. You don't know.
Yeah, it's this one's for the crowd at the Magic Castle.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of Magic Castle, part of I think what makes a heist movie work is knowing like how they're doing the thing, like knowing how you've been tricked.
Yeah.
Because I think
the dawning realization.
Right. Yeah. And they do that a couple of times in this movie because it does do a couple of fake outs. The MacGuffin in this is a bunch of Swiss gold. Ricky Jay has a bunch of very Mamet lines opining on or holding forth on the Swiss and his low opinion of them.
Cocksucker is coming out of a cuckoo clock.
Right. Yeah. Weird things to include in this movie. Yeah, but they show like first you think the gold was stolen, then you turn out that the gold was stolen in a different way. Then you think the gold was hidden on the boat, but it turns out not to be the case. It's brass. It looks like gold, which is all right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and you find out that, Gene Hackman hid the gold in yet a different way.
Yeah.
It just kind of keeps going on and on.
Yeah, and I guess, like, that's kind of the nature of the beast. Like, you kind of have to keep the switcheroos popping.
Yeah.
Because, like, audiences, even in 2001, audiences were sophisticated. You know, they didn't just fall off the turnip truck. Like, you had to make it somewhat clever.
Yeah. Like, how
But-
many are enough, but how many is also too many?
Right. Oh, I didn't get to ask my question.
Yeah.
Very typical. But of me, like just bringing up something 45 minutes ago. But the thing I was going to ask, because you mentioned this, right up front, because the movie Heist does start with a heist. They're boosting some shit from a jewelry store. And Hackman gets burned, basically.
Yes.
He is forced to enter the establishment without a mask to conceal his identity in order to tase a female employee. Do you think Mamet is a leg man?
I don't know.
I think he is, based on parts of the female body that he focuses his camera on. But anyway, that's
Okay.
neither here nor there.
All right, great.
So,
Well, I mean, yeah, because
Hackman-
Rebecca Pigeon isn't really like, she isn't curvy and she isn't voluptuous, so I'd have to say, yeah.
yeah, like she's got legs. She knows how to use them in her husband's movie. God. I love internalized misogyny. Anyway,
Well, you are a huge bitch, so you would know.
I'm just a dumb hole.
Also true.
So Hackman is seen by the security camera. He's not able to get to the security footage, and like it's a pretty good scene when he's trying to get into the cage to actually get at the tape, but he can't. It's like, no, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here, and he's got to leave it.
Right.
Like partway through the movie, I think right around the time they were about to pull the trigger on their big Swiss gold at the airport, Heist was like, oh yeah, he got burned. Like, is that ever gonna like pay off in any way?
Only in the abstract. It's kind of like the mobster friend of his that is going to buy the boat. It's like, it's only there to establish that he has a boat.
Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, how many thefts happen nationally in a day, and how many like wanted posters do you ever see?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like granted, like I'm not like in that particular line of work, like I'm not a security person, but even still, like suddenly we found out that there's an old guy who's been stealing from people for 30 years. Keep a lookout if you see an old white guy. I don't know.
If you see a guy who's like sort of, not like a handsome guy, like he could step into a lot of different character roles credibly. Like that kind of guy. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's charming, but he's also kind of menacing.
Right.
Can you find someone like that? So, I've been to the Magic Castle, and I don't...
Me too.
I don't mean that as a flex, but yeah, I'm just saying it. And granted, I was hammered when I got there, because those are some strong drinks.
Really? I just had dinner.
Oh, well, I went for the full experience.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Jen, maybe you can tell me if this tracks, because part of my problem with Heist is that you're seeing them just kind of like do their thing, but I don't get like a great insight into how they put it together, like how it works. You're seeing like some kind of perfunctory laying of plans. There's them all around a table with like a Hot Wheels car and some Legos and drawn.
That's just you in your apartment. Are you like constantly planning heists?
Oh man, I've been burned. 8 years of this podcast down the drain.
The reason I have all these Lego Friends sets is because I'm going to knock over the shipment at LAX. Okay, like
Tell
the
me
little
about the Lufthansa heist.
the orange cat
Yes.
is the loot, okay?
Right.
And this adorable little veterinary clinic,
Yes.
run by a female veterinarian, is the customs area.
No, see this minifig, like Mr. Gold, that is the result. Why am I putting this out? I already have Mr. Gold. I'm rich.
Yeah, you
Why
should.
am I still doing heist?
Dude, Tim, get on your boat and go south.
I know. I'll cross the border into Mexico to the Lego factory so I can wait at the end of the year when all the employees get their bonus employee exclusive gift, and I'll just start paying out hundreds. It'll be like $100 that set. I don't care what it is. And I just do that 20 or 30 times. I drive it across the border. I conceal it in the floorboards and under the seats. All looks perfectly legal, right? I mix in some bulk bricks so the cops don't get wise. You know, I put in some city sets from the 2000s in there.
Tim's living a much better Gene Hackman movie, The French Connection.
See, it's fun to plan a heist. But if you don't
I want to watch French Connection.
Yeah, but if you don't have characters you care about, it's just a heist. And it's only appealing to like the dad brain that's like, yeah, I see what you did there.
That's why this movie should, like, the box should be like the like the signature select generic like Vaughn's brand.
Yeah,
like
whatever, like
Heist.
Yeah, whatever the Costco brand is. It should come in like an 8-pack of other heist movies. You just watch all of them straight through.
Yeah, like, it tastes fine because they make it at like the same like facility, like factory.
Yeah.
It's like it's packaged there, but it's what can I say? Generic.
Yeah. Well, it's like when all the mojo has run off of like the like Cheetos brand, and they just keep running the machines until they have to like refill them. That's when they do the private select stuff. That's when you get your private select cheese balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I was making a point, and if you give me 10 or 20 minutes, I might be able to remember what it is. No, right. So the Magic Castle. So as it goes,
you were hammered.
Yeah, I was hammered. So as it goes with the movie Heist, and I'm bringing it all together here. And in fact, I have a piece of dialogue that I can just recite verbatim, but maybe you won't know because I'm such a naturally gifted thespian that it'll sound completely off the cuff. By the way, I don't know if people know this. These episodes are 100% scripted. Like everything that we've said is following a script. Every interruption, every half-remembered, half-finished point, that is deliberate.
Yeah. Tim and I are merely part of a writer's room with 12 other people who are very highly paid to bring this show to you. We've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars since 2016.
That
I
is
don't know
deliberate.
for what reason.
That is deliberate, right. Oh, sorry, I'm a line behind.
But you were saying about being hammered at the Magic Castle.
Right, yeah. So, same as the story with Heist, and I am bringing this all back around to a point that I should have made 15 minutes ago and saved your precious time. My apologies, listeners. Listeners, plural. Yeah, I'm getting up myself. No, it's that...
Everybody wants podcasts. That's why they call them podcasts.
Right. No, it's that I saw a guy do like his bar magic, and it's great because like he's doing like misdirections and stuff, and he's kind of riffing on what you think he's going to do, and then he mixes it up and he changes it. And then I see another guy where it's like, he's asking me what my card is, and he's doing this, and he's shuffling the deck, and he's saying pick anyone, and he does it. And I see another guy, and he does a thing where he says, okay, you pick a card and put it in there, and you, ma'am, we've never met, and you couldn't have known him, and put this in the bag and take it out. And again, is this your card? And there's a point where I'm just like, look, I don't know how you do this. I don't know what you're doing. Like, I cease to be amazed because it's like, look, I don't know how you do this trick. And so like, there's a point where I'm just like, okay, you fooled me. Like, I don't get it anymore. Like, I've lost the plot. And that's kind of what it's like watching Heist, where it's like, okay, there's a double cross. Someone lied to someone. Oh, she wasn't being honest this whole time. The thing wasn't where we thought it would be. And like, okay. Like, it just kind of goes on to the point where you're like, look, I don't know what you're doing, and I know that you're lying to me, but it's kind of diminishing returns because I can't like appreciate the level of craft that you're doing, or not in the case of Heist, where it's just like, look, it's just more trickery. I don't know. Like, I can't follow the line of trickery anymore. I'm done.
Right.
But pour me another drink, by all means.
That's actually a really good point, because I remember by the end of the movie, when it climaxes in kind of like a big bloody shootout.
Mm-hmm.
When Delroy Lindo pops up with a shotgun, I was like, okay, like, where was he hiding?
Right, yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's a Deus Ex Machina at that point. It's like, well, we got to have Delroy Lindo come in with a shotgun to save him.
Yeah, because it'll be a surprise. That's how these things happen.
And I'm glad that Gene Hackman and Delroy Lindo like spoilers, get away basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Ricky does
great.
not, and that is sad.
Yeah.
Because we like
Yeah.
Ricky Jay.
And it's funny how Ricky Jay like embodies that like that kind of character that you because he's like a he's like an old like
Kind of a
squat
world weariness kind of
guy.
Yeah.
Well, you know how there's the character in like kids movies where like they get killed or you think that they die and it's like super super sad.
Uh-huh. The fat
Like
kid.
Ricky Jay dying in this movie is like the horse sinking into the swamps of sadness and Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
It's like, aw, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's Artax.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and even it's, I mean, to his character's credit, he faces it where it's like, yeah, I know this is the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like that's I wouldn't say a bright spot in the movie because like that's fucking sad.
Yeah.
But
It's an emotionally relevant spot in the movie.
yeah,
Whereas
I
most
guess
of it is kind of so by the numbers.
yeah, like that is emotional resonance. And I don't know how much of that has to do with just the fact that like it's Ricky Jay, because as soon as Ricky Jay shows up at the beginning of the movie, I was like, Ricky Jay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the nice thing is,
Right,
it kind of he continues his pattern up until the end.
Yeah, and it's not like oh, this is a character that we've really grown to know and love. It's like it's Ricky Jay. I just like the guy.
Right? Yeah, definitely. I like him so much I would see his show for nothing.
And now he can't sue you.
Right? Yeah. Oh shit! That is my card. How did he know?
Ah!
I'm gonna open a deck of cards. It'll be like a court summons. Be like, man, I'm not even mad. Like that's cool. I don't know how you did that.
That would be a good swerve, like getting served by Ricky Jay via like a deck of cards.
I would stick around for that. Yeah, wouldn't even be mad.
Yeah, I'd be like, I got to give it to you, Ricky Jay. That is a good bit.
Yeah. Where are we on the script? Yeah, there's a point where Gene Hackman basically explains what kind of movie we're watching, where he says to Rebecca Pigeon says to him, "What are we going to do?" And he says, "That's what everyone wants to know." It's like, yes, yes, this is a heist.
Yeah,
movie.
that's how movies work. That's why we're here watching this.
Yeah, if only I could see into other people's heads and know exactly what they were thinking at all times. This movie would be a lot simpler.
I can't put my finger on like what it is about this particular work by Mamet, which makes it kind of mid. I mean, well, because there were things about it that I've described that are like, this is why this movie is mid, but it's specifically the really Mamet-y parts of it, like specifically the dialogue, and maybe and also the fact that Mamet is obviously not an actor's director. These are, to a degree, these are kind of like set it and forget it professionals, but like it doesn't quite end up working out that way because like Hackman of all people is like a little stiff. It's weird. And I don't know if that has to do with like how Mamet worked on the set. Like, it because it has like the staccato Mamet rhythm, but it's sort of choppy. I can't think of another way to describe it.
Yeah,
like
it comes off very, kind of off-putting. And part of what doesn't work for it is that like the movie is like self-aware, but in a way that just makes the audience not take it seriously. Like it's like it's formulaic in that, it is so generic that the movie's just called Heist. It's not called, the Swiss Affair or something. Whatever. But like, even though if it knows it's formulaic, like it doesn't make it any less so.
Right.
So, and that comes across in lines like, Danny DeVito is the, villain who kind of pushes them into this, who we haven't really talked very much about, other than him getting like the nadir of Mamet dialogue in this.
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.
But he does also like, to show how like formulaic, and kind of self-aware the movie is after like the shootout on the docks, which does have a very nice truck, like camera move. of them
Yes.
kind of moving across the dock, which I'm like, I'd like to see that. It's like, the hammer fight in, was it
Old Boy.
yeah. So yeah, it's got like that same kind of thing where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like seeing that. But yeah, after they get the better Danny DeVito, he says, "Don't you want to hear my last words?" Like, he knows he's in a heist movie. It's like, well, then granted, like, the quip after that is, pretty good, but it's like, you can't have like sincerity and formulaic like cliche in the same movie. It comes across you kind of hollow or wooden, like Jen is saying.
Yeah. And, like I do like the kill quip on that.
Yeah.
Like, we just did.
Right. Yeah.
Basically. Another good line near the end is Hackman talking about Rebecca Pigeon's character. She can talk her way out of a sunburn.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's I get it. That like that fits the character, and I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah. Raymond Chandler is flipping a nickel and winking at that line.
Yeah. But like the rest of
there are other
Punchy
lines
Mamet dialogue is like it's like a parody of a parody.
Yeah, there are lines that like that don't work. He's so cool when he goes to sleep, sheep count him. really like, forcing it.
I was gonna say earlier that like I would love I wish I were smart enough or gifted enough to write this, but like someone doing a Lego heist in like Mamet style. Like that's the kind of line that you would get in that particular work.
Right. I could do that.
It's
but I'm
no
not going
cute as
to.
a Chinese baby.
Well, as we all know, yeah.
Or like near the beginning of the movie where DeVito asks Hackman like, "Hey, what's she see in you?" And referring to Rebecca Pigeon, and Hackman's like, "I'm resilient." And then Danny DeVito says, "Yeah, so's Gumby." It's like, I guess that's true.
Yeah, hey, she's super into Gumby as well. You didn't know that.
Well, I mean, Gumby gets pussy. We've
Right.
seen.
Yeah,
the Gumby movie.
because he is in the form of Art Clokey, and Art Clokey will just, he's, notorious pussy
Art
hound.
Clokey crushed pussy.
Yeah.
So
Listen to our Tao of Gumby episode.
Gumby's like kind of bendy and stretchy, so I guess that counts as resilient. But
Yeah, I think he means that Gumby is beloved by generations. You could say that
also
he's
true.
Yeah, he is an enduring figure in culture.
Like Gene Hackman.
Right, yeah. And that's what
And
Rebecca Pigeon sees in him.
And Hackman's line after that is like decent. He's like, "Well, I have a better profile." And I was like, that's true because Gumby is a slab.
Yeah, and he's got that wedge in his head. But I mean, that's about as clever as like me and my friends are joking around. I mean, not on this show. I save the good stuff for the in-person things.
Yeah. Yeah, you people have no idea, like, the material that we are holding back. Like, we give you the scraps here, but,
Imagine,
oh, man.
Imagine if this was our best work. Can you believe it? Like, the show all, like, disorganized and unfocused. That was the best show that we could do.
Well,
that would be terrible. Like, we would have, like, after a decade of this, we'd only have like a couple hundred listeners. Like, if that were the case, that we really weren't very good at this.
Living high on the hog.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be worth doing if that was the case.
Joke would be on us.
Yeah, for sure. It would be a double cross. So we didn't even see it coming.
Well, you know what the real swerve is, Tim, is that our cover is that we're two inept, babbling, idiotic podcasters.
Who interrupt each other. Don't forget that.
Right, but people don't know that we're actually planning the ultimate Lego heist in private, and it's very funny.
Yeah, and we mentioned that at the end of the episode because no one ever makes it to the end.
Yeah, so it's the perfect crime.
Yeah. It was hidden in plain sight this whole time. All I had to do was just listen to the rest of the episode, please. But here's my point. Jen. Can I make my point? Jen, can I?
Yes, and
Can I
then you
make
can
my
go to
point?
lunch and You can have the coffee, which is for closers.
My point, Jen, that I was saying. Jen, my point. My point is the heist and the planning of the heist is like a card trick, because that's the thing about doing a card trick. The thing about doing a card trick is, if it's sloppy, you give the whole thing away, and the reveal means nothing. But if it's practiced by a professional, a card trick becomes magic. Yeah. So that's kind of the story of Heist, where, you know, part of being a professional in this is, and you see them kind of rehearsing their, you know, going through the motions of this heist, of planning different parts of it. But the movie itself, maybe if they'd done more of that, the movie would have been more interesting. Because you can't
That's
just
a really
like,
good way of putting it.
yeah, you can't just show up and be like, here, this is your card. It needs to be worked over a little more. You need more of, you know, Ricky Jay's charisma to carry it. Because that's what he does. Like, he shows up and he just talks, and you're like, just keep talking at me, Ricky. Like, I don't care what you're telling me. Like, this is just fun. But yeah, the movie itself, like the directing and the writing, just really didn't have that you know, practice nature to it. If, you know, we want to, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but it is my go-to quip about magic, which is something that, you know, Teller of Pen Ampersand said or wrote, which is, you know, the secret to being a magician is you practice something more than any reasonable person would. And I know I'm misquoting him, but that's the basic idea. Perhaps if I had tried a little harder, I could have remembered it verbatim, but I'm not a magician.
It comes across.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, is that you practice something enough times that you make it look effortless and you make it look easy, and you are able to, you know, achieve the unexpected. You're able to conjure magic because you've done something way more often than any reasonable person would by any sane, normal standard. And that comes across, but it doesn't come across in Heist. It comes across in House of Games. It comes across in The Spanish Prisoner. The omissions in Spanish Prisoner are what really lend a mystery to it. But this one just feels rushed and perfunctory.
And that might be why it is free to view with ads on Tubi. It is mid-tier Mamet.
Yeah, you can watch that, and then you can watch the 2015 movie Heist, which is also wildly uneven.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have watched Den of Thieves instead.
Yeah.
It made too much money. Anyway.
Yeah. The 2015 Heist movie is way more entertaining, but also, like, it has plot holes that you could drive a bus through. It's ridiculous. I can't recommend either Heist movie.
Well, I can recommend The Driver from 1978, directed by Walter Hill, starring Ryan O'Neal, Bruce Dern, and Isabel Adjani. I'm also going to recommend it to Tim.
Well, I know how much you love Ryan O'Neal as an actor and a person.
He is a peerless blank slate.
He's sort of the Peter Sellers of acting.
Except Peter Sellers was nicer to women. Tim, do you have anything else that you would like to say about either Heist from 2001 or David Mamet?
Whether you're doing a magic trick or you're conspiring to commit a felony or writing a movie on that same subject, what separates the amateurs from the professionals is how much practice you do to make sure that you put on a good performance.
That sums it up.
Yeah, there it is. Well, I'm pretty sure I could have done a better job, like tying that theme of, you know, Ricky Jay and magic and the heist and practicing and working on your script maybe a little more, but I didn't practice it.
Oh!
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord, where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes.
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.